Was it good for you?
Welcome to the Collingwood Rant. I'm Sly.
And I'm Who Needs Viagra when you have Collingwood Spook.
I've got a question for you, Spook.
Does it involve...
Carlton? Yeah.
Yeah.
Carlton Football Club, the once mighty Carlton Football Club, have become a rabble. Gone are the days...
Do we make a clap noise? Or
No, this is a serious question. Gone are the days they were successful and
They are
dominant. Gone. You know, whatever joys they have now are fleeting and don't compare to what used to be.
They're giving us a lot of joy.
Well, that's true. But my question to you is...
And my answer to you is...
At what point did you become aware that they were acquired by Disney?
I think it was somewhere around episode 8.
Yeah. A little bit of nerves going in this game, always against the Blues.
A little bit of nerds.
Yeah. There was some of them too.
No, I really... I had my son's basketball game, so I missed the first half. So going to the game, I was actually... I caught myself a couple of times thinking, I just feel calm. It's...
Is that why you texted me just fucking Lynn?
Well, yeah, I mean, there was that. I mean, that goes without saying. I mean, there's obviously a little bit of anxiety about playing Carlton.
That's what I mean.
But no, just prior to the game, I felt at one with the universe.
Yeah, I mean,
like there was a great voice cried out in terror.
It
was theirs.
I felt pretty comfortable with the win, but it's just, it is nervousness against Carlton. I don't know why, given we've won 18 of the last 22.
Yeah, I think it's just that the ignominy of potentially losing to them. You'd almost just wouldn't go out for a week.
No, totally. And being a Friday night, it just ruins the entire weekend.
Oh, it fucks the weekend.
Yeah.
Well, now it fucks the weekend for them.
I don't think it's just their weekend.
No, I think it's a long fuck.
Side bottom, illness, Allen illness. I'm always worried when those sort of things are announced because you don't know they got colds or whatever. Is that going through the playing group? How many players might it impact?
There must have been something because Fly said in the presser that there were certain players had reduced game time this week.
Yeah.
So that obviously you were rated at a certain fitness level based on how well you'd recovered from it. What did you think? Well, I mean, Carlton, they're suffering from an illness too. It's called shitness.
They're not suffering. And Bobby Hill again out. Roland Steele comes in for his first game, only 3 weeks after being drafted.
Yeah, he got more possessions than all of Carlton combined.
Almost, but I got an interesting stat about him. But
is it what his surname is? It about that?
Yeah, and you had Will Parker also come in, and Tom Mitchell.
Yeah, the new recruit.
How'd you feel about seeing Mitch out there?
I actually thought coming into this that because. Well, he hasn't played a game. What do they say? In about 468,000 years
would have been
or something.
Last year.
I think last time he played,
there was Anzac Day last year. I think
he was taking the ball off a Brontosaurus last time he played.
Yeah.
I thought coming off such a long layoff, he'd had 6 weeks or something consecutive in the VFL. That they'd bring him in as sub and they wouldn't risk him. And I was surprised to see that he was on the. When I looked on the phone, he was there at the first bounce.
Yeah, I think though because he had 7 weeks, I think that probably stood him in good stead to play a whole game. And obviously, he's 30, so he's had 10, 12 pre-seasons.
Yeah.
So he's got a bank there to fall upon rather than being like a young player who might not have that endurance built up.
I think he was... Fly was asked that after the game on the Fox Footy on KO. You remember KO? You remember it? Remember it?
Fucking, yeah.
When you press the menu button and nothing comes up for 6 years? You remember KO? He was asked about him and he said no, he was just chomping at the bit, ready to go. I think he was pretty much, he was at Fly's house at 3 a.m. saying, play me, coach. Play me.
Yeah, which player wouldn't behave like that?
But it's good. He was fucking really, really good. I was, not surprised, but I was pleasantly surprised how good he was.
Yeah, it was good that he slipped straight back into the rhythm of it. I think in terms of them getting the midfield, it's still... Some of the midfield rotations they started with were a little bit this is a little bit of a slow starting free. So hopefully they address that in the way or in the combinations that they use. But yeah, Mitchell, he'll either die winning the ball or die making sure they don't get it out. And I thought it was interesting because McFly.
Hello.
Well, that's where the nickname comes from. But he actually mentioned in the press conference that he was talking about they were aware that the contested position wasn't great in the last 7 weeks, so they wanted to address that. He credited someone at the club, and I'm pretty sure he just watched this show to get that feedback. You're welcome, mate. And in the third quarter, we absolutely obliterated them. Like, one of the things I find interesting in pretty much every game we play is the first 15 minutes, there's like a lot of settling down. We don't just sort of seem to start hard and fast. It's like they're really getting into the rhythm. I don't know if they're working out their matchups and, the opposition's patterns and all that, but the first quarter, it was relatively even. I mean, I think they looked really good at stages. They went fast, they went direct. They played like in a way that I haven't seen them play for quite a while.
You're talking about Carlton?
Yeah, but...
You mean they played non-comedic?
Yeah, for the most part. And it was very much what had been happening in recent weeks where we're getting dominated in terms of the opposition was winning the clearances and going forward often. But it's just whenever we went forward, we were manufacturing goals. And like they were really sort of, McStay roving off the top and Elliott soccering it in from about 20 out. It was just like, oh, well, great opportunistic goals. But then as the game started to wear on and we got on top, they started to capitulate. And that third quarter, we absolutely obliterated them. And they are the best contested ball-winning team in the competition.
You know I didn't watch the third quarter on KO? I watched it on Pornhub.
Yeah. That's a good one.
It was a good one.
It's also interesting. I know this isn't the Carlton rant, but how shot do you think they look?
You think they should be shot, or how shot did they look?
Now, how shot do they look?
I think it's... well, there'd be two things that I would approach from that. I think they had a very... I mean, I didn't fucking know any of the names of the players who came in, apart from Pitnet. Who were they? There was about 6 changes, I think they made. And you couldn't name any of them. You see, you looked at the side, you think, well, they're not going to come out and probably trouble us too much. Now, to their credit, I think they tried hard in that first quarter. That must be so deflating, though, when, like second quarter, we started to slowly pull away. Now, they would have gone in the rooms and probably said, look, we're still in it, boys, all that sort of stuff. Do they instruct them at anything at halftime, do you think? Or they just...
do you think that...
They just hit them with a wet towel with a piece of soap in it?
I mean, honestly, do you think... Because one of the interesting things I thought in watching the game, it was almost more like witnessing the game, because it was a crime scene unfolding.
I saw chalk outlines around some of their players.
It was only like a 75,000 crowd, which is actually pretty shit for Collingwood Carlton. And it was a relatively quiet Carlton...
well, it's their home games. Obviously, they had quite a few didn't turn up.
Yeah, but
I don't know why.
But what I'm trying to say, there was like this expectation of where even in the first quarter where they're competitive, it felt like a lot of them were just thinking at some point they're just going to pull away.
Well, you still sit in that stat, I think, and it's pretty much ringing true every game that they fade in the second half, especially the last quarter. So it doesn't matter whether you sort of you can punch on with them a little bit and keep them at arm's length, knowing that they're probably more than likely going to fall over.
But that's what I meant, like, in terms of when they went into the rooms, they thought, we're in this.
They fell over?
No, but I think they would have been thinking, yeah, we're in this, but what does it really matter? They just feel that shot. Long may it continue, but in terms of 2 years ago, these guys played in the prelim, or just under 2 years ago, and for the first half of last year, they looked good, so something's drastically gone wrong there. I mean, great, more of it, please, but... It's probably the most pathetic Carlton outfit that I've seen. I'm not mocking them. I'm just saying, like, the club that's full of pride and arrogance and, but they really now just play like one of those shit clubs that used to hover around the bottom for, one of these clubs, like a St Kilda, for example, who is just, like, going to sit outside the 8 now for the next 5 years, go for another rebuild. Fuck knows if they'll get that right. I mean, one thing with this side, and I talk about, you always mock me about it, is like, in the 2000s when they rebuilt, they got all these number 1 picks in Bryce Gibbs and Mark Murphy and Cruiser. The best guy they got, they traded to West Coast, which was Kennedy, for Judd. And those guys like Murphy, Gibbs and Cruiser, they were good players, but they weren't phenomenal players. And that's no disrespect intended to them. But this time around in this rebuild, they got Cripps, who's a fucking beast, he's brilliant. Curnow, who's, I know like people joke about his effectiveness in finals, but I think that's more about their setup. And he's a freak, and Wiedering's a freakish, but they're going to piss it all away.
Well.
I mean, I don't mind that. I'm happy because I was worried they were going to come up and be the next sort of dynastic team.
You've been worried about that for about 15 years, though.
Yeah, but I've also said, like, I don't think Voss is a great coach. I think Voss coaches the way he plays. And I found it really interesting that at the start of the year when things started going wrong for Carlton, like, media was saying, he's coaching to what the list can offer, which is, crash and bash. And it's like, no, that's his coaching regardless of what the list is. And it's very much like Buckley's teams from 13 to 17, I think it was, where it was just crash a pack, win the ball, kick it, and let's do it all over. And if they didn't have Curnow and Cripps, I think they wouldn't have got anywhere near finals.
Mm. Do you reckon that they objectively look at that list and think that there's glaring problems there, or are they laying the blame at Voss's feet? Because he'll see out the year, they've said that, but he'll be gone after that. I don't think there's any coming back. He's got another year in his contract. They won't. I
don't even know if he'll see out the year, because if they have a few more really bad losses, they might just say, we have to be seen to be doing something now.
Well, they got the Lions this week, and they'll probably get smashed, so that could always be the second break.
One thing that's really telling is they assemble this list. Now, you can argue about the merits of whether they have enough outside running players, skill players, and all that, but they assemble this list, but in the last few years, they've had to start, letting players go like Stocker and Setterfield and Kennedy at the Dogs and who's the other one there I'm thinking? Who knows? There was another one there they've lost also. But they must have really blown up that cap. And now, because they've had to let go of some of these guys, this is the one that went to West Coast, was it that Owies? Yeah, so they've let these guys go and, they're not A graders or anything. That Kennedy's a really good B grader. But to replace them, they've had to bring in guys like, I don't want to bag their players, but fuck it. It's like that Francis Evans is a real struggler. So they've brought in real D graders. So I think the way they've blown up the list is just meaning they can't actually get a really even spread in their B and C graders.
It's it'd be great. Tragic, really, isn't it?
It'd be great if they keep the Koenig too, because that just makes it really hard for them.
1.6 million. Is it 1.7?
Yeah.
Cannot even see half the value in him for that.
Well,
it actually looks like you look at the Grundy fiasco we did, and you could either learn from that or you could double down and fuck it twice as much.
Well, surely you'd be looking at the Koenig. I mean, someone sent me I don't know what the Carlton show is. There's a Carlton podcast equivalent. They were talking about the Koenig game.
Is it the Prendercast?
Is that what it's called? I
don't know.
I don't know. No. He's on X or whatever it is. But
we're back a fucking loser cast.
I don't know. I actually.
It smells like shit in here, cast.
The times I've seen, I think he does a good job for what he's doing. But he was just saying that, the Koenig's asking for 1.7. He goes, you wouldn't be paying him $1 million.
No,
let alone 1.7.
No. I just don't see the value in him.
And surely you'd be looking at it and going, well, let's look at the top rocks. Take Gawn aside. I don't know what Gawn's making, but everyone's talking about Cameron's form. How much would Cameron be on? 800 maybe?
If that? 700, I'd say.
And that's always been the view with ruckman, is you can just go grab them from anywhere. You wait until they start to blossom, and then what happens is it's like the Jared Witts-Grundy thing. You don't have room to play both of them, so one of them has to go elsewhere. And that's when you poach, another ruckman. We're probably talking a little bit about Carlton too much.
Well, we are a comedic show.
Yep.
Comedic or comedy?
No, that was Friday night. Guess who covered the most distance on Friday night?
Rowan Steele.
Yes, 15.2 Ks.
Yeah, I did see a stat. I did see that in comparison to the Carlton runners. I just thought that they were taking the piss out of them, but obviously it was who covered. 15.2 Ks or something.
Yeah.
It seemed to be.
I mean, I was looking at the stats. Carlton dominated the bulk of the stats, which I think shows they don't really necessarily work smarter. They just work harder for no point. And then Og Markov was on 14.4 as the next best.
As a runner?
Yeah. So what
did he run along just doing that crazy thing he does?
I don't know. What do you think of Steele's first game?
I was really impressed. I was really impressed, Sly. He didn't look lost. He looked like he belonged. And that's pretty much what Fly said. I think it summed it up really well. Yeah, how does a bloke that's been with the club for a month come in and play that role effectively? He ended up with, 19 possessions or something, 20 possessions?
Yeah, I could look at it.
He did a couple of nice things. He didn't fuck up. I mean, the thing is, and I'm not belittling his performance or anything, but the whole fucking team played well.
Yeah.
Is it easier to look good inside of that environment where everybody's not putting a foot wrong?
Like Dan Houston?
Oh, yeah. Look, I've got some theories about him.
Well, go on.
They're not very good ones.
I
think we're actually probably internally happy with what, or very... I mean, he's not performing what... I think the problem is it's the Schultz effect. We all build up an expectation that he's going to be performing week in and week out up here. At the moment, his role is adequately being performed here, and I think the club are comfortable with that. As I said to a couple of mates the other day, I think the harsh reality of it all is we win the flag this year and Dan Houston has 12 touches. Who gives a fuck? And I think that's the approach the club is taking. When you're getting the ball and you're kicking it, his kicking is good to elite. I don't think he works hard enough to defensively, but I think there's plenty around him that are doing. They're all just complementing each other at the moment. How do you bag a defence that's keeping fucking sides to 60 points probably on average at the moment? They're just clearly working. Yeah, but I think we still expect him to be doing a hell of a lot more.
Yeah, see, but this is the argument I see from a few people. It's like, how do you bag a defence who's, keeping teams down? It's like, well, you don't bag the defence for the defensive stuff. They're doing that well. But what's the counter-attacking stuff? And that's what you're not getting, and that's what people want to see. And, it's not like Schultz... I've never watched him at Fremantle, but the short, he was a good player. Houston was an elite player, Port. So it's a total different standard of what you expect back.
But do you think... I didn't watch enough Port games to comment, but was he required to be an elite player at Port? That's what he was. Was he the Nick Dacos of the back line that they were relying so heavily on him? They'd go to him and he was then pinpointing it out and attacking. And here, Josh Dacos is doing a lot of that sweeping role. And, Houston's is a sort of semi-decoy. But the thing is, I guess, where you could undo any argument you're making is what real elite things has he done this year? Can you think of any outstanding...
That's the one thing. He left Port Adelaide.
Yeah, that's true. So, he's out there doing his role, but would you be expecting... I think you're still just expecting him to be doing more.
Yeah, I think it's important to those separate, because the defence that people, ironically, always fall back on, but the defence is the most miserly defence. Great. You're not talking about the defensive aspects of his game, because I believe he's doing that as well. It's the counter-offensive things that you want to see a little bit more of. And I'll give you an example. I can't remember the Carlton player's name. It was one of those no-namers, the one that Maynard smothered. And Maynard pounced on the ball and then drilled it 60 metres to McStay.
Some of the things you expect McStay?
Yeah, McHouston.
McHouston to be doing.
Yeah, and that's what I want to see is, I love that. That, because I've been critical of McStay at times, and that's the best thing I've seen him do at the club. I think that's the best game he's had at the club. But I love the way he outmarked Wiedering, who's the best defensive fullback in the league. And then McStay turned around and said, you know what, the goals are open. I'm going for it.
It's a good 60-metre kick.
And I love, I don't want to see that as the rule, but in terms of, I love when players size it up and go, you know what, I'm going to back myself. You can't have these things, what I'll call the Chris Mayne effect, until the finals. But Mayne, remember we used to criticise him for, he always getting these little sideways kicks, really safe kicks. He's sometimes you've got to take it on yourself. In finals, he's a different player, finally, but I want to see more from Houston about that. I want to see him setting up some of, our counter-attack. And people would say, well, why does he need to? We're already getting that. It's because I want to fucking be better. And it's if...
Maybe he's saving it all for finals.
And if someone's going to criticise me going, oh, well, aren't you happy? Well, McFly isn't happy either, because he keeps talking about being a work in progress and improving. So I'm just giving you the same message that your coach is giving, just less diplomatically. So that's what I want to see. I want to see some of that long kicking, that surgical kicking. And, defensively, he's great. He does little things I don't think probably gets enough credit for. But offensively or counter-offensively, I probably want to see a little bit more. I'm a little bit surprised he doesn't, with that kicking, sort of kick out more or become the designated kicker-outer. But, as you said, they're playing well. Howie, he subbed off in the midway of the third quarter.
Yeah, tactical sub.
I don't think it was tactical. I think it was just to fucking rub it in Carlton's face. We're taking off our only other key defensive tool.
I saw when he was coming off, they put him back on. They took him off, they put him back on. Will they, won't they?
Yeah. How much does he also reinvigorate? People talk about side bottom, but they probably aren't giving enough credit to Howe, who we wrote off about 3 years ago. But in fairness, you wrote off...
We wrote off a lot of players.
I don't, you do. I only wrote off a couple, comparatively.
I only wrote off the ones that were written off.
Like Pendle's in 2018.
Yeah, no, I don't know where he took it personally. Good on him.
How long... I heard Kane Corns and two other people, I don't know who they were, talking about like he's surprised by Collingwood, and Corn said, "Yeah, I am. He didn't have us in the 8." And he goes to produce this, and I would like talking about to consistently do it, to have taken that gamble with the list, to get a few older players again in there, and to sort of back yourself and go, "We're going to have a shot at this." He's surprised like some of these older guys are just... I mean, we were talking about this a little bit earlier. I can't remember who we were talking about though. Oh, Elliot. About the form these guys are producing in their 30s.
Oh, it's phenomenal. But I think it's like, Fly keeps coming back to Jared Wade. And I think, there's a lot of credit there that has to be given. That these are probably almost the pioneers of extending the life of the older players. You got Bontempelli doing really well at, he's 30. Dangerfield still playing well at 382. There's clearly the modern way that they train and they look after their nutrition and their recovery and all that sort of thing is clearly extending the capabilities of the very good player. Whereas normally at this age they'd be slowing down, they just seem to be getting better, and they're building on their own experience as well. It's just like you're playing smarter, not necessarily harder, but you're still maintaining the fitness of a much younger man.
Having said that, though, so Pendlebury's still going, 37? And
he's not stopping, though. He's going to go on to 47.
34 or something. So at 32, Elliot might still be seen as well.
He's young.
Yeah. I mean, I'm serious. Like, he might be seen as 34, 35. He might play another 3 years. At that, same with Howe. They might play a few more years. I mean, hopefully they do. Because there's fuck all in the reserves, but...
You wouldn't look at any of them at the moment and think that they wouldn't go around again next year.
Mason Cox?
I think his card's marked. Unless there's some sort of tragic injury to Darcy Cameron, I don't think he's going to get too much opportunity because he's playing well in the VFL from what I believe. So it's not like you're being not picked for shit form. I just think he's almost surplus to need at the moment.
I think they're going for the chemistry of McStay is better offensively and better around the ground in terms of he can cover more of the ground. You lose a little bit in the ruck though, so it's like we talked about this earlier. I mean, Cox will give you better relief rucking, but less of a contest up forward when the ball hits the ground. His hands aren't as sticky. I mean, McStay really, when he grabs it, his hands are really good.
It's very sticky.
Cox can be like that, but it's just sometimes...
I think that's a superpower that he clearly lost a little bit this year. He wasn't clunking anywhere near as effectively as he was, and that probably ushered his exit a little bit quicker.
I think Membry probably ushered it in too.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. Even if you play Cox and Cameron now, you're way too tall.
Yeah, I mean, looking at, I've criticised the free M's, and that was probably the best game they've had those guys play. Membry, McStay, Mychek, and then Elliot on top of that.
What did they all end up with? There's Membry kicked 2, I think. 2 or 3?
McStay 4, Elliot 4, Mychek 2, Membry 2.
McStay's never kicked more than 2 for us, I don't think, in any game since he came over.
Yeah, so... I thought he kicked 3 against Brisbane, but I could be wrong. So... They got that to work. Big props to Lockie Sullivan. I thought that was the best game he's had.
That was very good.
And I thought Hoskin Elliott had a really good game.
Who?
That guy.
You're whipping boy.
And,
well, as a matter of fact, he's here as a guest tonight.
Hey, Will.
Well done, mate. It was a good game.
Rant.
What?
Stop being a cunt. Jeez, really language, mate. Come on.
Standing on my foot.
And Lipinski watch.
He was good.
Oh,
he...
we never give anyone credit. We're too hard on players.
His delivery inside 50, he was exactly as those stats had said he was...
no, they weren't. They were better than those stats. Those stats are full of shit.
Yeah, that fucking pass into Elliot where he's pretty much split the 2 Carlton players. That was a brilliant kick, That was a great kick. Yeah. I mean, they're the kicks that you sit back and you admire no matter who kicks it. It's just a great delivery of the ball.
Yeah. Criticism of Carlton, I don't know why they fucking weren't covering Elliot.
Oh, thankfully they weren't. But did you notice, we lowered the eyes a lot more this week too? There was not a lot of bombing in.
Yeah, well, fucking surely they would have watched the tape from the West Coast game and said, you know what leads are? You know what passes are?
Oh, there was definitely one. Membry was leading more. But I think Carlton's defence probably afforded you a little bit of that luxury. You can turn a player, your defender inside out and then break away and lead into space. There's plenty of space there. They weren't covering the ground particularly well defensively. Well, they may be a great... was it the stat you said, the number 1, number 2 clearance side or something, Carlton?
Contested, yeah.
Contested? Was it clearance or contested?
Contested? I don't know.
Couldn't be clearance. I mean, as soon as it hits the forward line or the defensive area, it's fucked.
Well, that's what they said. They said they brought in smaller guys and they virtually got nil tackles. I mean, the other big difference is you're playing at the MCG rather than that shithole marvel.
Oh, it makes a fucking difference.
You know, you got a bit more space. And
no injuries either. Yeah, fancy that.
Yeah, poor Charlie West. Debuts and plays in that shithole, and geez, I wonder if there's any correlation.
No, I wouldn't. I think it's a better brand of concrete, they said at the MCG. It's called soil.
Yeah, I mean, this is pretty much almost, I don't want to say the most flawless match. I mean, still, they sort of just put themselves into preservation mode in the last quarter.
Yeah, it was just really keeping things off. What was the scoreline in the end? We kicked one goal
in the last quarter.
Yeah,
so they kicked the game. They kicked 2-2 and we kicked 1-4. So we had chances. Yeah. I mean, that was a big difference. We went into cruise control, but we didn't necessarily just let it kick. Like I was saying to Johnny, who was watching the game, don't turn this into a 4-5 goal win.
I was a bit concerned about that because I messaged you at the start of the quarter about the foot's in the throat, you got to keep it there, which I think they probably almost did. They just didn't punish them on the scoreboard any further.
Yep.
But by then, you've humiliated them. You've already slapped them in the face with the white glove.
Why is it white?
Well, I don't know. It's black and white. Black and white glove.
They get that from the merchandising shop.
Yeah, they're $1.50.
Any final thoughts about this game? Because there's really not a lot to talk about other than be happy, and we're always happy about Collingwood here.
No, ecstatically happy. I mean, anytime you beat Carlton's a great fucking night out of the football. The way that third quarter, it was hardcore pornography of football. It was just obscene to watch. I was sweating watching it. I had to tell the kids to leave the room. I said, this is too. You're not ready for this. You're not ready. It was just fucking brilliant from start to finish. And, there are games like that. When you're watching that, you think, when they break free and they're just unstoppable. And you've seen that over the years of watching from time to time. They're just real great moments that you wish you could bottle because it's just the magic is just incredible. And it's just the most enjoyable experience to watch. I mean, I watched it on TV. Obviously, wasn't there. It would have been fucking epic to be there and watch it unfold. I mean, just what I loved too in that third quarter was, when you saw a player on the boundary line, the looks of absolute fucking despair on the supporter base's face was hilarious.
Yeah, that often is. The thing I'm really impressed with, I believe we're now 6 up on them in the win-loss. Our wins against their wins. In the 80s, they slowly overtook us. So coming out of losing the 81 grand final, then we had the club imploded in 82. Mm-hmm. They were in the finals in 84, but then not again until 88. We were a pretty shit side in the bulk of the 80s. And then I think even from memory, 88, 89, even though we're in the finals, they were beating us. And then 90, after the 90 flag, we just went to shit again, after 92 specifically.
Oh, look, we had the 100-year anniversary game when they smashed us.
Yeah, so that was 92,
And that year 2000 fucking debacle.
Thanks, Eddie. And then the early 2000s, very similar thing. And then that, after 204 to about 29, I'd say, they were both sort of like just trading wins. It was like they were winning them when they shouldn't have been winning them. But Carlton always had this lead, and whenever we started to, grapple our way back, they'd win another one and keep the distance. But now we're 6 up, and I really never thought we'd actually get back in front of them in the win-loss ratio.
Let's just keep going.
Yeah, so
I don't know, we're happy with 6 up. We should be 600 up.
Oh, well, they should.
The thing is, everyone used to bag the fuck out of Collingwood for that 32-year drought. They're now 30 years without a flag. But in that period of that 30 years, how many times have they played finals, you reckon? It's not many.
Well, from 95, I don't know, 96, 97,
99, they lost the grand final.
99, they lost. In 2000, they, I think, made it. 2002, they were wooden spooners. So I think there was a couple of years there they went straight out in straight sets. And then on their rebuild, their rebuilds took ages. So I don't think they got back in until about 2011. And then they're only in for a couple of years, and then they're out again for a while. So, and I think in all that time, since 95, they've never actually been a genuine premiership threat. Probably the closest they came to it is in 2011. And unfortunately for them, they ran into 2 monster teams in Collingwood and Geelong. Although I think they probably would have beaten Geelong because they sort of too quick for Geelong. But it's one of those things, like, they were really good. I think they actually had I can't remember exactly, so I could be wrong, but like I think they actually won enough that they should have made the top 4, but it was a year where the top 4 was really elevated, and they actually finished 5th or something. But yeah, they've never really been a premiership threat. Even 99 when they made the grand final, everyone knew after they beat Essendon in the prelim that North was just going to trounce them the following week. It was the most self-fulfilling prophecy ever. And, 2023, you could say, well, they got to a prelim, but by the time they got there, they looked tired and busted up.
They did win that pre-season grand final.
That was the one that pissed me off. But
I mean, they've tasted success. They haven't been complete failures.
I mean, the one thing I'd say the difference with the droughts that we got there a lot.
Well, I was going to say that at least in that 32 years we did make a lot of grand finals. We fucked them all up, but we made a lot. They've made one since 99.
No,
they're actually running. They're probably tracking worse than us. When's the Carly Wobbles coming out?
Yeah, we probably need a good name for how terrible they are. I don't know. I mean,
fucking shit.
That's got to be something poetic. When Geelong was
completely fucking shit. CFSC.
Total door
shit. Spelt in the French method of CHIT. As in le shit.
When Geelong, was losing him in the 90s.
You have to be sorry.
89, 92, 94, 95. They were branded the cat astrophies. So you just need something for...
That's good. I didn't know that one.
Oh, well.
Yeah, that's good. We'll come on something. Maybe someone smarter than us, which would be about 99% of the world, could put a clever quip in the comments.
Or a comment. Gold Coast this week. Friday over there.
Over there?
Over there.
Over there?
No,
where is that at Metricon?
Fuck, I don't know. Whatever it's called nowadays.
I don't know. It's obviously
is there anywhere else?
Is there another Solar Stadium in Queensland?
I don't know.
Will 3 people turn up and support?
Just see Damien Hardwick whinging about bloody the way
Rowell and as compared to Nick Dacos.
Yeah.
I think that was a deliberate action just to
divert.
Because if you didn't include Collingwood in your statement, no one gives a fuck.
But it's like because Nick's really had a charmed fucking treatment following 2 years of his shit. What do you think? They're doing well. They're a different proposition up there. They've got a bit of resilience now, which they never had. They tended to fall away. They beat us last year over there. I don't know if we played them there in 2023 or the year before. I do recall we played them there once we had to do one of the comeback wins. Although I think that would have been 22. But anyway, you feeling confident?
Well, we're due for a stinker.
You've been saying that for about 6 weeks in a
row. Who's coming back? We're due to.
Well, you think Sidebottom and Allen would come back or be available? Will they play Allen? I don't know.
Get back in at the moment?
No.
Yeah, he might still have a bit of a temperature, I think, for another week. Sidey be walking straight back in.
And then
He'll surely, because it's
going to be up to him.
Personal reasons, but I think if that the interstate game at least affords you the that lack of focus that you get. He may then feel a bit more comfortable coming back in this week. I think he will. Who else? Lockie Schultz would be on the cusp.
They're still a couple of weeks away. Schultz and McCreary are still a couple of weeks
away. Then I think that'd be the only two.
And the Goey's concussed thanks to
changes. Who are you going to stop at? Is King playing for him? Moore will take King. How? I think we'd have them covered.
Yeah, the only one I'd think potentially, and I don't think they'll do it, is if they play Cox to combat Wits.
No, I think. Cameron, he was hurt his shoulder late in that.
Yeah, but I really watched him. Like the first couple of contests, he looked like, ooh, that doesn't look good. But then after that, he laid a tackle. But sometimes, he took an overhead mark.
It depends how he pulls up, but nothing's been said or anything. They declared there was no injuries out of it.
Well, I think I did ring Collingwood. I said, "Can you give me an update on his shoulder?" And they said it's a 2-week hamstring.
He said these things are complex, Sly. Yeah. As a layman, you wouldn't understand.
It's referred pain.
And did they bring out the operation game and sort of give you a demonstration with the tweezers and the glowing red nose, the buzzers?
Yeah.
That's the way they do it at Collingwood. Maybe is Cameron had a rest this year?
During the bye.
I think he had a rest against Carlton.
I actually think they made a mistake by playing whatever his name is, Pinocchio.
Who's Pinocchio?
Pitternet. Whatever his name is.
Was he out there? He's at Ruckman, isn't he?
I think they're like that. The Coney, it's like that. Luke Jackson. They're not forwards. They're ruckmen, and you're trying to play them as forwards, and they're not. It's like Mason Cox, and been saying it for years. Mason Cox is not a forward. So he plays shit up forward and people are like, oh, it's like, well, he's not a forward, he's a ruckman. And I no disrespect intended to Mason Cox, but like, De Coney could be a freakish ruckman. Where that gets him, I don't know, but they're playing him up forward, so good on you, Carl. Keep doing that. Anyway, so possibly you don't play Cox. I don't know if they'll give Cameron the rest, or if they'll say, let's see what that shoulder's like.
It's a given that if Cameron's rested or the shoulder is a bit sore and they don't want to risk him and take him on the travel, that Cox comes in. There's no one else at the moment. They gave that Oscar Steen, I saw...
9 more years.
9 more years. Yeah. I mean, that's what they said with ruckman. They take time.
Yeah.
You got to leave them in the sun. You got to put them in the oven. They need to grow and prosper. You water them every.
Well, I believe they factor into the contract. They said you're going to get paid this much for the first 4 years, this much for the next 2, and then when you're at your next club, we're going to pay you this much for the next 4.
Well, apparently he's getting 1.6 million Stone. So take that, St Kilda.
Yeah.
Did you see that footage of the Collingwood cheer squad or the
singing the song?
Yeah, singing the Saints song. Sometimes our supporters are funny.
Well, there's also footage of the Collingwood supporters singing the theme song in the Carlton cheer squad. So that's how.
I did see there was some guy having a big ranty, tanty thing up in the stand.
Said, "Go hit him in the head." It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, that's the Carlton way.
Yeah,
that's why they're the filth.
So, what are your thoughts about Gold Coast?
I think we'll go up there clearly with the intent to win, and I think we should win. What's the weather going to be like this time of year up there? Is it still... Because, I mean, there's times when we go up there and the fucking humidity makes the ball slippery and they always choose the wrong boots and we run around like class clowns. If it's that sort of thing, then I think if Gold Coast play the conditions better, they're a chance. We're not going to win by a lot. If we win, it'll be a close match, I think. There's a lot of the top 8s playing each other this week too, so it should be a good round.
So Carlton's not playing this week?
They're playing Brisbane, so they're playing someone in the top 4. They wouldn't know what the top 4 look like anymore. Yeah,
I'm a bit concerned about this game. I don't know. A little bit concerned, but we'll see.
You think we're due for a stinker?
Anyway, we'll see. Comments. John Cornish, F5I. Love your work. The Blues could start now and we still win by 10 goals. I hope this comment doesn't bite us in the butt. Lol. It didn't.
No, it didn't bite us in the butt.
McRainiac.
He's a McRainiac.
What a song.
On the floor.
Six McStay came back. I was worried that the free tools were cramping Elliott's space and making him less effective. But after the Carlton game, I wonder if having the free tools of Elliott playing as the deepest forward could be a point of difference for us that opposition backlines might struggle to counter. And that's a possibility.
Yeah, as I said the other week, I reckon they tend to play like a bit of a zone thing. Yeah. Although this week I don't think the need there. I think Mircek certainly stayed inside the arc a lot. I don't think he ran up the ground and had to chase.
I did a little bit in the first. Like the one thing I noticed is throughout the game they seemed to rotate because it seemed like for part of it was Membry running up, being a link man, and then it sort of got flipped around. So. I don't know if they just rotate to spread the defence or to just offset the defensive, matchups. Maybe that is part of the strategy that you have these guys who are interchangeable and means that the defence can never get settled. Yeah,
I mean, certainly the forward line function exceptionally good. That's probably one of the better performances of it for the year. If you got them all kicking a bag, you can't complain. Can you?
I can complain. I'm a log. Lipinski's playing at an all-Australian level. His delivery to the forward 50s is elite, and endurance is a key to us. Time to stop the hate and give him kudos as well deserved. MG77B from Bulletin Board.
Oh, McGuan 77 bounces. Is that him?
Yeah. I met him after the grand final. Nice guy. This one thing is like, we don't fucking hate anyone. It's just we want players to be better. It's
the baggers.
Oh, they're saying time to stop the hate. So I imagine that's aimed at you.
What do you say?
Time to stop the hate and give him the kudos.
What if we hate MGB77B?
What?
What if we hate him?
Oh, okay.
You can't stop the hate. It's like stopping the rock.
I don't know. It's just... it's
all right, it's time to stop the hate.
Fuck, the times he's played well, we said he's played well. And the times he hasn't played well, people are still pointing at a game from 4 weeks earlier.
So maybe you should have said it's time to stop deferring the hate.
Yeah, Floriat Vipicker. Sunshine, lollipops, pops and rainbows.
What a song.
Ashen Prism. Once the final siren went, I immediately forgot that game. Playing 4 talls was painful. The Whites opposite about West Coast. Our forward 50 was clogged, and West had no chance to compete.
No.
Glad he got a taste, but there was no forward pressure. Eagles killed us with quick ball movement and handball in the contest, and we looked very slow. And we're lucky that the Eagles can't kick. Could have been a bit ugly. It's a long season. Banking the wins now is what important. Would like JDG to get a month of football in before the finals.
Well, he can't because Maynard killed him now.
Do you think he's really concussed?
Does it really matter? I mean, he wasn't due back for another 3 or 4 weeks anyway. Whether he has to do, I mean, all it does is restrict some of his training.
Yeah, but does that, then they say, oh, well, does this setback set him back a little bit further?
Oh, the media said it's a setback. We know how authentic they are.
Yeah.
Well, Buzzy was interviewed after the game. He said that he said since the impact, he's actually a smarter man.
I didn't say that.
He said he knocked 12 different kinds of sense into him.
Robert Tuhill. Remember he can
Robert
play... Robert Tuhill. Remember he can play back. He did it to kill us. So that's answering that query. You know, who could you play back out of McStone
that's
and
right,
if injuries? Rob Mac 527. DeGoey, Hill, Maynard, Frampton, Schultz, McCurry, all out. Our side versus West Coast is not a finals ready side.
Certainly wasn't.
Nope. Bernard Parsons. Pendlebury and Dacos, along with Dacos, and others have poor disposal. Nick now makes poor decisions and his teammates give him the ball when he is well covered. The selection was terrible. Shades of 23. We might beat Carlton, but that will be it for the season. The selectors have stuffed up Elliott, who is our best goal kicker.
A week's a long time in football.
MGB, 77 bounces. Get on the case here.
I thought he had made another comment.
No. Mary Tancredi, 40-15. Probably from that year. How many flags we got up that point?
No, not a lot.
Playing West Coast is a good chance to try a few things. I'm sure that Fly is aware of all that you've mentioned. I'm sure he is too, because he probably watches it. Yeah, he watches. Yeah.
He's actually on the stairs, just sitting there watching.
Hey, Fly.
There you go, mate.
You take that, wouldn't you?
Yeah. What's that? You got any nuggets of wisdom for me? Hang on, was that Fly or Hoskin Elliott?
I don't know. I'm sure that Fly's aware of what you mentioned and will adjust accordingly. We're missing some of our best players too. Seems more fans are unhappy that we didn't thrash the Eagles, who have been building over the last few weeks. We won, we're 10 points ahead, and no more home games at Marvel. Let's move onwards and upwards. Go Pies. Yeah, great. Look, one thing I've said, spoken to a few people, and just, you know what, right now is you're going to win enough games to make the top 2. Right now is like, I just watch games, just get through them without injuries. Just get through them without injuries. That's all I want.
Well, now we're qualified, so we can't fall out of the 8. Would probably be 2 more wins, I think, would be enough to lock in a top 4 spot. What do you do after that? Do you just sit back and enjoy the roses?
Well, I don't know.
You don't rest on your laurels, do you, or your Hardies?
I don't know if they increase training loads and all that sort of stuff. The one thing I actually really like is the resting players. They're giving them, time. I know there's a little bit of concern that you can fuck with it too much and maybe unravel it. But you go back to 2011, we didn't do that. Like, Malthouse just played him, and I don't blame him exclusively. I think that was a big part of the succession plan and the issues and him trying to prove, well, you're getting rid of Millers. But, at one stage we were like 15 wins and 1 loss. At that stage, you could have played the VFL team for the next month, given everyone rest, and then brought the guys back and said, let's go for it. But he didn't, because the pressure was on to let's just keep obliterating the season. And I think, particularly, like you do have a little bit of an older side anyway, giving them a rest here and there is going to be pretty good. And I wouldn't mind if they just rest Nick at some point. I think Cameron definitely is going to need a rest in the last month of the season.
Yeah, definitely.
I know they'll get enough rest before the break, but in terms of, look, they know the loads better than me, but in terms of like the way you'd think, you'd want all these guys to be really fresh, because I think back about 2023, I think sometimes we're a little bit lucky to have won the flag, because I actually think it's almost like we hit a wall, but we willed our way through it and we won. The finals we needed to win, and we won the flag. And I think sometimes I think that 2024 was almost like a carryover of you're all just fucking so drained that you went above and beyond.
I think that was a massive.
I mean, mentally we're talking psychologically, but I think then also physically they were just shot. And so get these guys as right as possible.
Yeah, and I think that'll be the key focus, definitely. Look, I mean, the beauty of where we sit right now is we're about to get a number of first starters back in, and we're not waving goodbye to anyone who's injured.
Yep.
It's a great selection dilemma to have. Now, it's going to afford you the luxury to rest guys who there's nothing wrong with them just for the sake of giving them a week off. And you know that you're going to have role players come in that are going to at least fulfill at least 30. I was going to say 75% of that role. I don't know whether 30 came into it.
Yeah, I think the great thing there is you look at that Ryan Steele, so he can be just plugged straight in and, you know, he can fill a role. Sullivan's proven he can do that. He had his best game for Collingwood. Like, again, he's not playing in position, which is fine because they got to play someone small up forward. I mean, the disappointing one I'm not criticising is Dean wasn't exactly plug and play. He really struggled. Would have liked to see him get another run at it, but I understand why they didn't.
Yeah,
with Maynard coming back.
We both thought last week that he'd stay in, but
with Maynard coming back,
out.
With Maynard coming back, it was probably going to be a little bit tight there.
Yeah.
But it's great that you sort of like actually saying, well, if this is what happens in the finals, if you get an injury or whatever, we know who can bring back. It's not going to be a speculative pick. It's going to be someone that, hey, they will be able to play that role for us. I mean, and obviously there's certain guys you can't replace.
Like Framers.
Yeah. We got John Ralph responded to us on...
We responded to you.
Oh, not me. So, I was watching the Collingwood Carlton post-game wrap-up. And they were talking about Voss's future. And to me, I'm sorry, John, if I got this wrong, the inference I got was that he was trying to move the conversation to, well, maybe they just got to get rid of Voss and start again. And Buckley and Brown really seemed to take umbrage with it. And so the conversation never fully went that way. And I actually posted on our X account telling us that John Ralph had a little sook when both Jonathan Brown and Buckley refused to participate in the simplistic sack Voss commentary Ralph was trying to initiate post-game. And I said, you must be very proud of the clickbait trial you've become in the media, to John Ralph. And then his response was, I didn't say they should sack him. I said he had to show the fans he had some answers, and instead he said they had let everyone down. He has to sell some hope, but instead he seemed out answers.
Journalistic.
You seem to be the one desperately looking for likes by bashing journos online. That's my strategy, John. I post every 6 months to try and inflate our numbers on X.
That statement, define irony.
And then I actually cut the clip where he actually said, he goes, well, maybe they do need it. Basically said, maybe they need a new voice to come in. Which is what he said, and his response was, because I didn't see it.
He hasn't responded.
I thought he said...
No, I said that, as much as he's had a sook about everything, everyone who's responded in that thread didn't have any words of encouragement for John. They all just hung shit on him.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, he referenced himself as being a journalist.
Yeah, well, that is funny.
He's a fucking muckraker.
Well, he is. I mean, we've talked about this before, and I've mentioned plenty of times, and I've written stuff about it. It's like, I like the journalists who just talk football, but then there's other guys who are out there posting stuff, and it really seems like clickbait sensationalism. And, you know, you're one of them. So you want to say you're not, but, hey, look at all the shit you got back. So it's not just us seeing you that way.
It's an interesting double standard, though. I mean, he gets paid to criticise everyone else. When he cops it, he has a sook.
Yeah, well, you know, I'm inflating the numbers. It's you know, every 4 months I actually post something. You know, we did the weekly update.
Did it work, the clickbaiting? Are we famous now?
Oh, I think we got millions.
Are we retired? Well, I'm not going to work tomorrow, am I?
Or it could be that he is trying to get likes off us.
He is.
Yeah.
Well, he knows we're a conduit to fly, so I think he's just trying to get on the ground floor. But you know what, John? We're not giving anything away. Certainly not to you, mate. What a John Ralph he is.
Yeah, he's a total John Ralph.
Complete and utter Ralph.
Any final thoughts?
John Ralph's a Ralph.
Oh, cool. Anyway, leave comments, like, subscribe, share, generate our likes. You know, because that's what we're here for.
Generate some clickbait for us.
Yeah, after 8 years, we're just trying to really push those numbers.
Well, it's got me 3 Mercedes. Something's working.
By bashing journalists.
They're little Matchbox ones. They're really good.
Bashing journos online.
There's a thought.
Fucking hell. Surprisingly.
You know, we should be professional John Ralphs.
I'm ready. One. Not professional, but...
I'm surprised John Ralph's not working for Disney.
Well, that's a good story.
For another time.
Yeah. Anyway, that's it from us.
And that's it from us.
Later.
Collingwoods! Ooh, in the flag now. was awkward the next morning.
I think that needs to go in.
That's what she said.